Hi, good morning and welcome to Meet the VIP. And today it's Mary Michele once again. This time we're going to talk lots of things. First of all, I got to congratulate you on your outfit today. There you are wearing your fishing boots. And I said, isn't Pisces the fisherman? And you said, yes. I said, you're not a Pisces. Then you said, well, I got Pisces in my chart. And I said, I should have known this thing, but that's all right.
Well, I do like to dress for the weather.
Well, you were very appropriate for this
so
today.
rhinestones and boots, right?
What? Rhinestones
and
I thought they were real.
Well.
Anyway, Mary Michele will take your calls at 241-1310 on astrology. Before we get to the phones, though, I want to talk about those numbers again. We started this last Thursday. We did 1 through 4 last Thursday. My magic number is 4, based on the formula given to me, and this is higher math, so it took me a while. But, you know, we got as far as 4. Go through how people find out what their significant number is, and then if you could, let's go through all the numbers now before we get to the phones at 241-1310 to talk about it.
Okay, well, I think this is something that people probably do anyway. You know, they add numbers up to figure out ways to win the lotto and that kind of thing. What you want to do with the science of numerology is you want to take the month of your birth, and you have to make it a number, right? So if you were born the 8th month, August, and you were born the 18th of the month, and you were born in 1960. So you take 8 of August, 18, which reduces to a 9. 1 and 8 is 9. And 1960, 1 and 9 of 19, that's a 10. And 6 is 16, which reduces to a 7. So you take the 7 and the 8 from the 8th month, because we can get rid of the 9. I'll tell you about that in a minute. So you take the 8 and the 7, and you add those together. That's 14, 15. Reduce it again, so it's a 6. So August 18, 1916 reduces to the number 6. So that's what you want to do. Now, what I wanted to say about the number 9 was any number that you add to 9 will reduce to the number that you've added to 9. So basically, whenever you see a 9 in numerology, if you're adding something up, you can disregard it because it doesn't have a value. It doesn't have a numerological value. So anyway, if you do this with your birthday and you look at the year, okay, so you take 1996 and you reduce 1996. 1 and 9 is 10. 9 and 6 is 15, which reduces to a 6. And the 10, so that's 16. So 1996 it reduces to a 7 universal year. Everybody will be under this vibration of the 7. Did you get that?
I was using my fingers here, and I literally was. Okay, you said 1996. Can we do a different one? Just for the heck of it. November 24th, 48. So here we are. 11 is the month of November.
Right.
So that comes out to 2. Mm-hmm. All right. 24, you add 2 and 4 comes out to 6.
Right.
1948 means 12. Let's see now. All right. 12,
4 and 8 is 12,
right.
And then 1 and 9. You have to do the 1 and 9.
So that's 10.
So that reduces to a 22.
22, so then that becomes
4. So you add the 2 and the 6 and the 4. So that's 10.
That's 12.
12. So you reduce that again. 1 and 2 is 3.
So okay.
Okay. You're always bringing...
I'm glad I don't have like December 25th. I'd be running out of fingers here.
Well, you can add it up any way you like. It will reduce to a single digit and the same single digit no matter how you add it up.
Okay.
So, don't worry about that part of it. And then what you want to do with this August 18th person, you want to add... his number is a 6, this fictitious person. You want to add the 6 to the 1996, so 6 and 7 is 12, 13. So this person is in a 4 year. So throughout the year, this person would be experiencing the vibration of 4, which is about work. It's about being based in matter, about being based in structure, understanding the material world and how the values of it and so on, which, normally in the spiritual world, people tend to think of this as being, not as important. But you really can't not deal with the body and the material world. I know that, a lot of people that work in this line of business, astrology, numerology, even psychiatry and areas of help service business, there's always a push-pull because you want to be of help to the person. And sometimes if they don't have the money, you think, well, I'll try and help them even though they don't have the money. But the point is, you do have to think about yourself and take whatever money it is that you need. Money is important to all of us, and we live in the body, and we all have to eat. And, it's important to realize that the spiritual world does have material necessities. It can go to an extreme, like if they own too much real estate, if a church or, some other kind of religion gets too heavily into the financial end of things. Mike is sort of looking at me very skeptically.
I know you said that you could do a chart based on when a country comes into existence.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm thinking, let's take the church.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows exactly what day the church actually began? I mean, how can you come up? I mean, you could. All right, let's take. You could take Christ's birthday, which was December 25th.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I get confused because.
Well, the numbers, you see, what you want to think about, the simplistic thing with Christ's birthday, with December 25th, I would just look at the 2 and the 5. First of all, we have no idea when Christ was born. I think that, Christ was, they picked this particular day arbitrarily, but also because it related to the Earth's cycles. It goes back to the idea of the solstices and the equinoxes, which were things that happened to people people experienced all the time. So I think that the idea was that it was easier to give Christ a birthday that was part of the natural rhythm and flow of things. But anyway, the 25th is sort of a key thing to me because 2 and 5 reduces to a 7, and 7 is the number of spirituality. So it really makes a lot of sense that they would have picked, instead of normally the solstice is on the 21st, 22nd. The 25th actually makes more sense for Christ because he was about bringing spirituality to a very large portion of the world. This number 7 is kind of an interesting number. When you think about the days of the week, there's 7 days in the week, and on the 7th day you rest. And the idea of resting, it's sort of an interesting conundrum. I was thinking about this over the weekend because really, what is a holiday? What is a vacation? Most of us, when we go on holiday or when we go on vacation, we sort of look for the idea of, having a good time and partying and dancing and so on. But the point is that you don't really rest when you go on that kind of a vacation. And I think oftentimes really what we need when we want to get away from our work is a period of introspection and rest. And the number 7 relates very strongly to this, that you have to take a look at yourself. And it doesn't mean that it has to be, totally serious. I think, sometimes there's a fear that, going to church or going to your particular religious belief that you might feel constrained. And I don't think it's about constraint. I think it's about finding a place where you feel peaceful and that you can allow yourself to truly rest. And that's what the number 7 is about. Shall I go back? The number 6.
Yeah.
The number 6 is the number of in today's language, we use the word karma with numerology. Of course, this was, relatively new to the Western mind, this idea of karma. But it's really, I think in Western thought, it would be likened to the idea of cause and effect. So 6 is the number where, whatever you sow, you will reap. Things come back to you, either bad or good, depending on how you've, worked things through with the number 6. The other associations for the number 6 are the arts. And usually in the arts are the things that give us all of these different kinds of perceptions. When you go to a museum or a concert or the theater or the movies, what you're doing is you're allowing your mind to go into someone else's perception, their understanding of life. And through this artistic process, you can grow. You can learn about things in a new way. You can expand. It can, also make you cry, but sometimes through the distress of, the cultural experience, you can grow as well. So it's about, dealing with the emotions and learning how to be more insightful about yourself, which is what we do when we go to the theater, the movies, even a sporting event. I think there's something very artistic in sports. Certainly when you watch someone, throw a ball, or when you watch the horses run at the racetrack, or when you, all the different things, ice hockey, the way that they move on the rink is very, very fast, and there's something very graceful, and you could almost say artistic about it, because they have this artistic control over the body. Dancers certainly are very, very fine athletes. They probably wouldn't like to be called athletes, and conversely, athletes wouldn't want to be called dancers. But the point is that they're both working very strongly with the body, and they're understanding the nature of how you have to have that kind of control, discipline. So much of it is just very, very, very hard work, but then you have to come to that moment where you trust the hard work that you've done and let go, and that's the creative moment, which is, true in the arts, true in sports.
I'm sitting here so confused.
Oh, Mike.
The reason I'm confused, if each of us has this basic number, now, if my math was correct, my number was the number 4, the base, like the pyramid, 4 sides to that, and whatever.
I'm glad you're bringing me back to it, Mike.
Well, no, here's why I'm confused.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going for the number 6, we go to the theater. Does that mean a 4 becomes a 6 that day?
That's where you have to understand all of the numbers. It's very much like in astrology. You have to understand all of the signs. People tend to focus on their sun sign, and they say, oh, well, I'm a Pisces, or I'm a Cancer, or I'm a Scorpio. But the point is that you have all of the signs in your chart. And it's rather like trying to understand, people from a different country or a different religion, or people that do a different kind of work. If you can try to understand all the different signs, you're going to have a more enriching experience. Anyway, so yes, to answer your question is that you go through the cycle of all the numbers. There will be 2 numbers that stay with you. The number of your name, if you add up all of your name.
Huh? Wait a second. I had enough trouble with the numbers that I know. How do you add your name? Is it the number of letters in your name?
No. Well, that could be one number that you might look at. But what you want to look at is, it's very simple. We've made it very simple in the West. You take the letters of the alphabet. A is the number 1. B is the number 2. C is 3.
Don't ask me to do this. It's like the 15th letter. Which one is it? You go A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Right, but 15 is a 6. It's a 6th letter. It's not 15.
Is the number 1 through 9 or 0 through 9? You can't come up with a 0 unless, let's say, you were born... No, you couldn't. If you were born in 1900, that's 10, which is a what?
A 1. It always reduces to 1 through 9.
1 through 9. Okay, you answered one of my questions.
Right, but the 0 is a actually, it was sort of interesting because the Mayans had used the 0 in their mathematical calculations long before it was known in the West. We've discovered that they had an understanding of this. And basically, I think the Arabs, Islam was the next, chronologically, the next group of people that started to use the naught. Anyway, we don't use it. We don't have in numerology a value that we put on it when we deal with the particular individual. There is a value to the naught or the 0, but it's bigger than any one particular person, because the naught, the circle, the 0 is really infinite. So you can't talk about it in terms of an individual. You might say almost that it's a God number.
But isn't 0 also 0, nil, nada, nilch?
Right.
I mean,
it's.
So how's that infinity?
Well, because infinity is made up of both. It's made up of naught and plus. Oh my God. We're having a pretty serious philosophical discussion
I
here
know
this
we
morning.
are. By the way, Mary Michele will take your calls on astrology at 241-1310. Good time to get in. I'm just still very confused by this. If 0 equals nothing, how can it mean everything?
Well, because the idea is that first of all, numbers are something that are very much of a mental, meditative kind of thing. Plato and Pythagoras talked about other ways that we relate to the world through our senses, color, smell, touch, that these were sort of the more practical, material ways that we deal with our experience in life. But when we deal with numbers, it's a truly spiritual thing because there is nothing concrete. It's a concept, it's an idea. Numbers are not about concrete reality. Yes, you can add, 6 apples plus 1 apple and get 7, but it's the apple that's the concrete reality, not the number of them. Okay.
All right, I know the apple is there. Bear with me.
Oh, Mike, I know.
It's Monday morning. You got to give me a break. Now, you may have been thinking about this all weekend. I started to think about this at about 10 minutes to 9, saying, okay, she's going to be here with the numbers today. That means I have to take a look at make sure I have all the, everything taken care of here. And now what you're telling me is I not only have to remember my number, but I have to know all the other numbers and how I relate to it. But if the number 0 is there, but you don't use the number 0, but some people did, then that's either infinity or nothing.
These are things to contemplate. The whole nature of numerology, astrology, it's very much like philosophy or religion. There aren't answers. It's not about answers. It's about new ways and different ways of thinking about things. In the Bible, and some of the great, philosophical thinkers, Thomas Aquinas and St. Augustine and so on, they weren't particularly enthusiastic about astrology because astrology was something that they felt, was pagan, that it was, many gods and so on. But they did use numbers. Numbers was a very important part of their, and when they talk in the Bible about, there are many different numbers that come up over and over again. The nature of number.
All right, that I do understand. We're going to get to the phones just a couple seconds away to Lori, who is on line 2. We're going to get to you just a couple seconds away. We'll be back with Mary Michele. I'm so confused. I guess I know where we are. This is WVIP on a Monday morning. Back with Mary Michele taking your calls on astrology. 241-1310 in 1 minute. Human resource management is a hot career path, and Mercy College can put you on the fast track to success. Consider the facts. 1. Experts say that HRM jobs will increase by over 32% in the next decade. 2. Directors earn an average of $80,000 per year. 3. You can get your Mercy College master's degree in human resource management in just 12 months. The Mercy program teaches you just what it takes to build a fulfilling, lucrative career. After all, today's HRM is a lot more than just personnel. It's hiring employees, advising senior executives, addressing large groups, and lots more. Let Mercy College put you in the middle of it all with dynamic courses and programs like personnel law, benefits management, and international HRM. Earn your Mercy Masters at their convenient White Plains or Dobbs Ferry campuses in just a full year of full-time study, a little longer part-time, and always flexible enough to work around your schedule. Call 1-800-MERCY-New York for details. That's 1-800-MERCY-New York to get going on your career in human resource management. All right, 25 past the hour. We have one open line at 241-1310. Let's get to the phones. Good morning. Lori is calling from Yorktown. Date of birth is August 7th, 1959. You're on with Mary Michele. Good morning.
Good morning, Lori. How are you?
I'm fine, Mary. I had called you on Friday, and you had said to call back.
Okay, great. I'm glad you're calling. But you might have to remind me, was there something in particular that we were talking about?
Well, you had told me that I was very analytical, which I am more than I'd like to admit, and that the year looks secure. But I wanted to ask you a further question about my relationship with my children and my husband, things like that.
Okay. So we're going to come to the relationship part strongly today. Sun in Leo, Moon in Virgo, Mercury in Leo, Venus in Virgo, Mars in Virgo. Venus and Mars in Virgo. Okay, Venus and Mars are the two planets that when we talk about relationship issues that we want to look at in a chart. So with the Sun, with the Moon, Venus and Mercury and Mars, but all in the sign of Virgo, the emphasis is, there's a very strong tendency here to these Virgo characteristics. Leo, of course, will fight that sometimes because they'd rather have the fun and the dash and the party and so on. But the Virgo thing is very important, and certainly in your relationship, it's something that's very important. You offer to your husband a certain kind of security in your ability to deal with very mundane things, things around the house. I don't know if you're a good cook or if you're very tidy or whatever, but there's something about that to him that is very, very important. Of course, this doesn't always translate as a romantic idea, but it can. Sometimes romance can be about the little thoughtful, caring things. So there must be some way in which you manifest that with him that he likes a lot. Certainly, this year with this transit of Jupiter, as I've been talking about in Capricorn, it's enhancing those abilities of yours to think in a very thoughtful, caring way. You're able to deal with details and come up with ideas. And does your husband like sports?
Yes.
So, what you might do is do you like sports?
I'm not crazy over it.
No, I know, I'm not either. But anyway, what you might do is, put the sports in a romantic setting so that you're making both of you happy. Buy a bunch of candles, put them around the TV set, have flowers around, so that when the sports thing is on, the sports event or whatever, you can sort of set the mood for the commercials. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that's wrong? That's
No, it just it just makes me nervous that he talks about maybe changing jobs and things like that. I don't know if am I allowed to give his birth date to you? For the time?
Well, give it to me, but you may have to call again.
Okay.
What is it?
7/14/55.
Okay, well, he's a Cancer, and you know the general characteristics of Cancer. They're very homebody oriented and so on. So I would think the odds are that, even though he might sort of make you think sometimes that he's going to disrupt things and get you to move and so on, it probably won't happen because he likes security probably more than you do. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for calling.
Thanks
Actually,
for
us Cancerians are 5'2" with eyes of blue, and we're coochie coo. We are typical homebodies. The family is very, very important. All right, let's get to our next caller. Kim is calling from Katona, watching on cable channel 12. Date of birth is September 26th, 1973. 9/26/73. Kim, good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Morning.
Good morning, Kim. Did you have a particular question?
I just applied to graduate school, and I'm waiting for the reply, and I was wondering how things looked.
Okay. 9/26/73. Okay, Sun in Libra. Moon in Libra. So you were born at the new moon. You have a strong focus. Last week was probably an intense week for you. We had a lunar eclipse in Libra on Wednesday. Was there some indication around the school things last week? Was there something that came up? Or
Actually, yeah, I passed my part of my teacher certification test last week.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the indication. Whenever there's a lunar eclipse, a full moon and a lunar eclipse, it means that that's going to be in effect for some time. So if you passed your test, there's no question that you're going to be able to go on, and further enhance whatever it is that you were doing at that time. Let's see. You have Mercury in Libra. What? Teaching? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. With, Sun, Moon, Mercury all in Libra, and Uranus in Libra, Pluto in Libra. Got a lot of Libra planets. You're a diplomat. You're very, very good with kids and making them happy, and also with the powers that be, the authorities at the school, the superintendents, or whatever it is, whoever you're working with. You have an ease with people. Now, the nature of the diplomat and the nature of all this energy in Libra, it's a lot. It's a lot of Libra. You have to learn how to not try to please everybody all the time, because this is what you want to do. And it's a struggle. It's going to be tough for you. But you have to sometimes just stand up and say, what do I want? And this is not what I want. And even though they're pulling me in 16 different directions and I'm trying to make everybody happy, I'm not going to be able to continue. I'm going to get pulled too tight. That saltwater taffy is going to pull apart, or the rubber band, and it's going to snap back and hurt you. So what you want to do is you want to learn how to be yourself and figure out what it is that you need, and not always try to make everybody else happy.
Sounds exactly like me.
Okay.
Well, by the way, what's your specialty in education?
History?
History.
Oh, interesting. Were you following my talk here this morning on numerology?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Was it too confusing?
No.
No. Okay.
Can't be, I'm just looking at this. My son is also taking his master's in education now. Finally got him away from taking anything with law. All right, have a good day.
Thanks for calling.
All right, we have one open line at 241-1310. Tasha's on the line. We're going to get to her in 1 minute. Back with Mary Michele in 1.
Like so many others, I'm a fan of Rainbow Walk. You must know Rainbow Walk in Mount Kisco off Route 117, across the road from the new TJ Maxx. There's plenty of free parking. Sure, there are Chinese restaurants unlimited, each with their own menus, some better than others, but Rainbow Walk in Mount Kisco tops them all. Have you ever tried their Buddhist or Peking duck? It's terrific. Then there's jumbo shrimp, baby shrimp, fried, steamed, sliced, sauté, breaded chicken, sliced, crispy, sauté beef, and for those committed to nutritional dishes, well, you can rely on no fat, no oil, no starch, no sugar. For every taste, for every need, Rainbow Walk is at your service. And by the way, bar drinks are yours, your favorites, and some new experiences imported from the Far East. As many colors as there are in the rainbow, there are just as many delights at Rainbow Walk in Mount Kisco, across the road from the new TJ Maxx on Route 117 with plenty of free parking. Call 666-6800 for reservations. Rainbow Walk in Mount Kisco, 666-6800.
Open lines at 241-1310 for Mary Michele. Let's get back to the phones. Tasha is calling from Mount Kisco, watching on cable channel 12. Date of birth, February, a Valentine's baby. February 14th, 1973. Tasha, good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Tasha.
May I ask you to lower your TV or radio, whatever you're listening to, please, just a little bit, okay? Thank you.
Tasha, did you hear what I was saying about Christ and the number 25, December 25th, and reducing it?
Reducing it?
Well, if you take the number 14, the day of your birth, February 14th, but just the 14, it's kind of interesting because 1 and 4 reduces to 5. And in numerology, 5 is the number of love. And what happens on February 14th? It's the day of love. It's the day everybody gives. So that's kind of how it works, if you have to make these kind of associations. Okay. Did you have a particular question?
Not really.
Okay. You have the sun in Aquarius and you have the moon in Cancer. You have Mercury in Pisces, Venus in Aquarius. That's nice. Sun-Venus conjunction. Mars in Capricorn, Jupiter in Capricorn. You're a hard worker. And you are able to structure the kind of work that you do well. Are you still in school?
No, I want to go back to school.
You want to go back to school. Are you concerned about it? Is it something that you think you'll be able to do?
Sure.
You're not sure?
Not right now.
Not right now.
But,
Well, I think it'll come. The nature of Capricorn, Mars in Capricorn, Jupiter in Capricorn, sometimes it's slow to manifest, but it's much more satisfying. Capricorn are kind of the people that they always get to the finish line, kind of like that story of the tortoise and the hare. There's something very, very consistent about the way that you work and the way that you deal with your energy. You're someone that knows how to rest when you need to rest, and work really hard when you need to work really hard.
Relationships. That's all I want to hear about. So.
Okay, relationships. All right. Sun, Venus in Aquarius, there might have been an occasion to meet someone new, or there was some kind of an event in your relationships that happened in January. Does that hold some truth?
January.
Are you presently involved with someone?
Yeah.
Yes.
And another person turned up.
Another person turned up in January?
No, since just Friday.
This Friday?
I him and he just turned up at my door. I want to know what he's up to.
Well, were you happy about it?
Well, both kind of like confused.
I think, the nature of the Sun in Aquarius and Venus in Aquarius, and it's you have the Moon in Cancer, so you are someone that kind of is looking for security in a relationship. But with this Sun Venus in Aquarius, you also are looking for the unusual. There's a part of you that likes things that are a little unusual. So somehow, whether the person that you're involved with has a job that's unusual, or whether the nature of your relationship is a little unusual, but it's something that's going to happen to you frequently, and I think you're going to have to resolve the issue of security and having things be a little different.
Different on the side.